Okay. So starting by the presentation plan, which will be an introduction as the first point, moving to the face recognition as second point, moving to the proposed methodology in this paper, and we conclude with a conclusion, of course. So as an introduction, the computer vision field is rapidly evolving in the past 10 years due to many reasons, but mainly to the deep learning and the Internet of Things, which guarantee a lot of advantages in this field and give us many best results if we compare it to the machine learning algorithms or traditional algorithms. We can find that the face recognition is one of the most, or become one of the most active topic in this field. I mean the computer vision, where the researchers and the developers are trying to integrate the deep learning and the Internet of Things as a solution to this problem. Okay, so the Internet of Things is an interesting domain to be integrated as a solution, since it gives us or provide the smart gadgets and smart hardware to be integrated inside real-world applications, like especially for the security manner, for building monitoring or access control or door locking, etc., to become a solution, of course, especially if we add the deep learning that gives a step forward to this problem, if we compare it, as we said before, to the machine learning traditional algorithms. So what we are trying to do, what we did try to do in this paper or in these projects, is to integrate the Internet of Things with a deep learning to propose a solution to face recognition. To, of course, build a smart surveillance system, video surveillance system. So moving to the second point, which is face recognition. In any face recognition system, we have, or we must find three main steps, which are face detection, as we can see here, feature extraction, and the third point, which is face recognition, including, of course, the input data, which will be an image or a video, and the output data, which gonna be either identification or a verification, depending on the application, of course. So starting by the first point, the input data, is to pre-process the data, either an image or a video, pre-processing it and prepare it for the first step, which is extract or detect the face inside the given input data or image or video. Moving to the second step, which is extract the characteristic of the face or the features extraction. Then we come to the third step, which is the most important step, is recognizing the face, depending on the algorithm or the deep learning model, etc. So moving directly to the proposed methodology, what we do in this solution is the solution is divided in many steps. As a sum up, we start by data collection and the data augmentation and data pre-processing, since the deep learning models need a huge amount of data. So our data set, it's a local data set built by us by combining two samples from a benchmark, which is the ORL face database. Okay, the class 1 and the class 2 are from this database. And the class 0, which is the author itself, the image of the author, which is in this case, which is me. We apply some data augmentation to guarantee the collect of a lot of amount of data. We apply some other data pre-processing to create the CSV data sets and transfer or change the images into vector format. Then we fed the data into a CNN model, which is built by the TensorFlow and the Keras libraries and the APIs. Our CNN model, deep learning model, is 15 layers, combination of different layers, 5 layers of 2D convolution layers, 4 layers, for batch normalization layers, and 2 layers from the max pooling with 4 dense layers, other 4 dense layers, including the input layer and the output layer, in this case, which is going to be 3 classes, the class 0, class 1, and the class 2. After making the training process, we have to mention that we apply the hard cascade algorithm to do the face detection, and keep the step 2 and the step 3 for the CNN model, which in this case feature extraction and recognizing the face. As a result, as we can see here, we have a confusion matrix. We have only 2 misclassified samples or examples by the CNN model in class 0, and all the other samples were correctly classified, and we get 99.70% of accuracy and 0.03 of loss score. As a system deployment, we build our solution as a web application to test the CNN model and the whole project. Of course, we have to mention the IoT gadgets and the smart devices that we use, which are in this case the ESP32 CAM, okay, pre-programmed with the C++ language to capture the video, capture the image, connected to the local IP address with the home router, okay. Then we connected directly to the CNN model that play the role of recognizing the face. And in between, we apply the algorithm of Haar cascade, to detect the face with pre-processing, of course. So we have monitoring of playing the video surveillance display screen, of course, to see the results inside. Inside the monitor of or the web application by the system admin, of course. In here, after the CNN model play or apply the feature extraction and the face recognition, we have 2 results, either a no or yes. Of course, in the no results, which is the non-recognizing faces, we have a notification email to the administrator directly. That we have, depending on the application, of course, that we have suspect person or not locking the door, depending on the application that we are in the future gonna use this model into. So as our system is real-time responding time with 0.3 seconds of detect and or not of recognize or not recognize the face. As a conclusion, as we said before, the I2 and the deep learning play a major role in computer vision application success. Nowadays, both give us a lot of advantages, especially in the real-world applications, in smartphones or smart homes. We are seeing it, especially in the surveillance system. Okay, so proposing and implementing such solutions and such solution, of course, for the people is very needed these days, especially in the security manner. In our or as future scope or as a feature what we're gonna do in the future, we're gonna integrate our solution inside a real-world application and test our deep learning model or test our gadgets, IoT gadgets that we use in different environment changes. So that's it. As thanks for watching, and thank you.
Welcome. Very nice presentation and nice research work.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, that's the poster of my colleague because she cannot attend as she's in the hospital with her daughter. So I will just briefly present her poster and then I will switch to mine. So the title is Design of Ceramic Polymer Composites for Bone Tissue Regeneration. And yeah, our research team tried to develop a ceramic polymer biomaterial. The composition of those ceramic polymer biomaterial that can be used as an implant material for bone tissue. And for this purpose, we use different biocompatible materials like hydroxyapatite, which is a ceramic that corresponds to the inorganic phase of natural bone, and also polymers like polyvinyl pyrrolidone and polyethylene glycol. In addition, also collagen and glutathione, which is a tripeptide, we use those both as well. Anyway, the composition we applied to polylactic plates, and this way we're resulting with coatings that can be observed on the photo below. And because we try to obtain the coatings, that's why we applied them on those polylactic plates. And the coatings means that biomaterial can be coated on the other material like metallic implants or like endoprothesis, for example. Those coatings we obtained under ultraviolet light for 4 minutes, and then therefore in order to avoid excessive sedimentation, then sedimentation weight tests were carried out on the Multiscan MS-20 device, where it was selected that the polymer concentration of 15% was the most optimal for our materials. We measured the concentration from 5% to 25%. Also using the infrared spectroscopy, the purity of the compounds were also analyzed, as you can see on the second picture. And all those research were carried out in the framework of the project, Multifunctional Biologically Active Composites for Application in Regenerative Bone System Medicine. And that's all if it's about the poster of my friend. So now I will try to show you my poster, because as I mentioned, we are co-working together and our posters are kind of symbiosis, let's say like that. Okay, and here is my poster with the title of Incubation Studies of Ceramic Polymer Coatings in Artificial Biological Fluids. As I mentioned, it presents the results of the research conducted on the coatings I talked about earlier with my colleague's poster. So those coatings containing hydroxyapatite polymers, collagen and glutathione. And yes, after developing the composition, determining the purity of the components or the sedimentation rate, imaging was done on an optical microscope. And in this way, the surface morphology was examined, as well as, in addition, the thickness of the coatings. We also measured the thickness of the coatings. And since the coatings are a material with application potential in medicine, it was necessary to study the behavior in artificial biological fluids. And during such incubation in Winger's fluid and PBS, pH value changes were determined over a period of 40 days at 37 degrees. And yeah, that was 37 degrees, as this temperature is similar to the temperature of human body. And as you can see in the case of PBS, no large changes were observed. The values oscillated between 7.1 to, let's say, 7.5. So they can be considered relatively stable under the given condition. Larger changes were observed in the Winger's fluid, where the values increased compared to the first day of the incubation. The next investigation was to determine the sorption capacity, because the material that swell can potentially be used as a carrier for an active substance. So that was kind of important, like really important parameter for us to detect that. And the highest sorption capacity were observed for polymeric materials, especially for sample B, so sample containing additionally collagen. And for composites, the value decreased as the proportion of the ceramic phase in the biomaterial increased, because hydroxyapatite grain kind of occupied the free spaces between the polymer chain, and thus reducing the water, like the liquid absorption capacity. At the end, similar as before, I'd like to mention that the research was performed as a part of the project Multifunctional Biologically Active Composites for application in the regenerative bone system medicine. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
Okay. My team, which is I'm as a co-author, my colleague, which is Mrs. Junjo Haizi, and my name is Mrs. Noazura Mitimisran. We are presenting for our college Professional Mara Sri Iskandar Perak, Malaysia. So for today, we would like to present our research paper that titled "The Influence of TikTok Advertising on Consumer Behavior Among Generation Z." So let me start with the overview for our presentation. The first one is the introduction, second purpose, methodology, result and discussion, managerial impacts, and the last one is a summary. So next one. Okay, as an introduction, okay, regarding of our research, TikTok is a social platform that let users create and share entertaining within the 15-second videos, such as lip syncs, feature skit, and dance competition. And from our finding, over 60% of TikTok users are comprised of Generation Z, which refer to the generation born between 1997 until 2012. Generation Z, we can define it as one of the most diverse generation, yet with high level of education, digital nativism, social and cultural awareness, and a high propensity to be more expensive. Gen Z also are the most likely age group to watch videos on social media. Supporting with the other research, 91% shows that Generation Z prefer video content instead of traditional marketing formats. In the 2020 Global Web Index survey showed that Gen Z stated that they use TikTok to find funny or entertaining content and that desire for fun is meaningful. The last one for the introduction is the outcome of this study may be beneficial to everyone who targeted to Generation Z. The next one. Okay, this is the sum of our LR, literature review, that support our finding and our research. TikTok, Generation Z, emotional dimension, entertaining dimension, informative dimension, and consumer decision-making process. Okay, let me continue with the next slides. Okay, purpose. Okay, for our research, we are highlighted to the main three purpose, which is the number one is to describe the consumer behavior of Generation Z on TikTok advertisement. Second, to determine whether emotional, information, and entertainment dimension of TikTok advertisement could influence the consumer behavior of Generation Z. And the last one is to describe the effect of TikTok advertising in the consumer decision-making process on Generation Z. Okay, now I would like to explain about the methodology used in our research. The first one is this study used a quantitative research whereby a descriptive research design had been applied in this research. The second one of the methodology is we are using software package for social science SPSS variant 26.0, which is from the SPSS we are gathered through online survey to get the finding. And the next methodology is this study are concentrate on Generation Z aged between 18 to 34 years from our student from College Professional Mara, Seri Iskandar, Perak, Malaysia. Okay, for the methodology, we are choose purposive sampling method was utilized to gather the qualified respondent who are TikTok users to answer this online survey questionnaire. And we use and choose 300 respondents among our students for this study. So for the next presentation and the next topic, I proceed to my colleague, Mrs. Junjuhaizi Johari. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Noazura Misran. Okay, now my turn. I will present about the result and also discussion of our research. And we are using SPSS, whereby we use the SPSS to interpret this research in 4 sections, whereby in section A, we are focusing on the respondent profile. And in the section B, we are focusing on the consumer behavior of Generation Z in TikTok advertisement. And for section C, we are focusing on the factors that could influence the consumer behavior to use TikTok. And the last one in section D, we are focusing on the consumer decision-making process on Generation Z. So based on the SPSS analysis, we just focus on the descriptive analysis and also frequency. Okay, let me introduce about the frequency analysis. Okay, based on the frequency analysis, Okay, I would like to explain about the respondent background, okay, for the Generation Z. Okay, so this is based on our analysis, whereby based on the statistic, it shows that the respondent is come from female. Okay, and in terms of age, a majority of the respondent were in the age range between 18 to 20 years old. And when we are asking about this question, how often do you use TikTok? And based on this statistic, it shows that most of the respondents like to use or often use TikTok for daily. Okay, in terms of on average, how long do you use TikTok application per day? So from this statistic, it shows that most of the respondents use TikTok application for more than 3 hours. And based on this data, and 39% of the respondents prefer to watch others' video in the TikTok. Okay, in terms of type of advertisement that mostly the respondent like, we can see that advertisement from influencer is the most or high rate compared to the others. And what types of brand do you follow on TikTok? So based on this, graph, okay, we shows that clothing or fashion brand is the mostly followed by the respondent. Okay, and based on this question, okay, when we ask them about how do you see TikTok as an advertising tool, and majority of the respondents say that that TikTok is a very good advertising tool. And the last one, most of the respondents normally will purchase because of advertising that they have seen on the TikTok. So this is the background of the study, okay, background of the consumers, what we call as the respondent. And now I will proceed to the descriptive analysis, whereby in the descriptive analysis, we are focusing on the 3 objectives, whereby in the first objective, we want to describe the consumer behavior of Gen Z on TikTok advertisement. Okay, based on this analysis, okay, we identify that we try to classify the consumer behavior of Generation Z on 3 categories, whereby it consists of passive, contributory, and also participatory. Okay, based on this analysis, it found that the total mean score, that the highest total mean score is considered as the passive consumptive behavior. So based on this one, okay, we can say that the Generation Z tend to watch TikTok video advertisement where it has a lot of positive comment. Okay, so we can say that most of the consumer behavior of the Generation Z considered as the passive consumptive. And now I will proceed to the objective number 2, whereby we want to determine whether, okay, emotional, information, and entertainment dimension of TikTok advertisement could influence the consumer behavior of Generation Z. So based on our findings, okay, we can classify it into emotional, information, and entertainment, whereby the information is the highest total mean score that we can obtain from this analysis. So it shows that Generation Z loves to use TikTok advertising due to informational dimension. And when using advertisement on TikTok, information is an important factor because customers will find the necessary information about the product that they want to buy and use. And the next definition, the next one is about objective 3, whereby we want to describe the effects of TikTok advertising on consumer decision-making process of Generation Z. So based on this analysis, okay, we try to look into the 5 stages of consumer decision-making process. Okay, so based on this one, okay, we can say that the study shows that TikTok advertising had sometimes affect consumer decision-making process of Generation Z from need recognition to the post-purchase behavior. So based on this result, okay, it shows that most of the respondents of Generation Z, they are often to evaluate the information on TikTok advertising before they make a purchase. Okay, so based on the next one is about managerial implication. So based on our study, okay, we can see that this study can give implication to this one. Okay, whereby it can beneficial to the marketers advertisers and also public or private organizations who mainly focus on the usage of TikTok that is targeted especially to Generation Z. And based on this one, we can see that because of the informative TikTok, advertisements significantly affect the behavior of Generation Z. So it is opportunity for marketers or any relevant people to provide informative and attractive content when they want to do some advertisement. Okay, and the next one, understanding behavior of Generation Z through the consumer decision-making process also beneficial to the marketers, whereby each process will have a different strategy. So we can see that this gives opportunity to the marketers or advertisers to create a creative short video advertisement using TikTok so that it can appeal to this target group. And the marketer or advertiser also must find a good content to be put into the TikTok advertising because Generation Z often evaluate the information on TikTok advertising before they make a purchase decision. Okay, regarding to this one, so as a conclusion, we can summarize that based on this analysis, the research result demonstrate that the majority of the Generation Z is considered as a passive consumptive behavior. And the research also found that informative content of TikTok advertisement was the most influenced the consumer behavior of Generation Z. And the result shows that majority of the respondents experienced at the moderate level of engagement in the 5 stages of consumer decision making. And the result also shows that Generation Z will often evaluate the information on TikTok advertising before make a purchase. So as a conclusion, okay, for the future research, we identify that these two topics is very important for future research, whereby the effectiveness of TikTok application on baby boomers can be conducted, and also impact of TikTok application on student academic and psychology also is important for the future research. So thank you from us. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful presentation.
Everyone, I'm sorry for these little problems. And so the aim of my study was to obtain bioactive ceramic polymer composites as a carrier of an active substances. In this case, it was antibiotic clindamycin. And the composites are based on hydroxyapatite, biosafe polyvinylpyridone, and natural polymers. And first of all, I presented my sample composition. It was 18 samples with a different ratio of hydroxyapatite to PVP and various addition, for example, betaine. And on the right, we can see that the composite with 5% of ceramic are very flexible. And then we can move on to the surface morphology using scanning electron microscopy. I presented the composites with betaine because betaine showed the best properties in other studies. As I mentioned, I present the composites with betaine before incubation and after 14 days of incubation in fluids simulating environment of living organisms. And in this case, it was simulated SBF, simulated body fluids. And for both composites, after incubation, newly formed apatite layers are visible. That's on the right, these pictures. It's good because it proves that the interaction between composites and fluids. And next we can go to. We can move to the antibiotic release, and on the first diagram, we can see that the percent of the clindamycin released, and after 7 days of immersion, the clindamycin content reached 55% for the sample 17. It's a sample with betaine. And the next two diagrams are chromatograms and show the retention time of clindamycin, which is 4 minutes and 41 seconds. And what's the conclusion? The conclusion is that this presented eco-friendly technology for the preparation of composites made it possible to successfully obtain materials for bone tissue regeneration which can be as well used as a carrier of an active substances of an antibiotic. It was confirmed that the drug release rate can be controlled both by addition at the synthesis stage and by changing the composition. And thank you. That's
everybody, and good evening. Okay, so I'm Noliza binti Ramli with my partner Mahja bin Yusuf. We are from Marak Professional College, Sri Iskandar Perak. So today we would like to present about our research. Okay, so the title of our research is a study on the impact of marketing and technical content in influencing hedonic value for Shopee customer in Malaysia. So let's go together with the next slide. So, okay, for the part of introduction, what I want to say is, we know that after post-COVID-19, Shopee has become very popular e-commerce platform in Malaysia. So we know that Shopee is originated from Singapore. So we can see here, okay, because of the consumer hectic lifestyle is the changes. So that's why most of the Malaysian, for example, they are preferred Shopee. So we can see from this statistic, Statistica 2022. So our research would like to focus, okay, on the variable for technical content and marketing content. So let's look together with our research, okay? So this is our research objective. Okay, firstly, Firstly, we want to determine whether the marketing content influence the hedonic value for Shopee customer in Malaysia. This is the first objective. Second objective, we want to determine that whether the technical content influence the hedonic value for Shopee customer in Malaysia. And the third objective is we want to provide recommendation to Shopee and other e-commerce platform on how they can be preferred choice for Malaysian. Okay, let's look together. So our dependent variable is hedonic value. In other words, if I can simplify what is hedonic value, it's referred to the enjoyment during shopping experience. So we want to see that, is that this dependent variable, all right, give the impact lah. Okay, so here is our independent variable. So like what I said that, we have separate that from two parts. Marketing part and technical part. So for the marketing, okay, as you can see in this slide, number one is design, number two is e-warm, and number three is advertising. Which is for the next part is technical part. So number one is system quality, service quality, and information quality. All right, let's look together with our hypothesis. So from this research, okay, we got 6 hypotheses. So number one, we want to see that, is that a positive relationship between hedonic value and design for Shopee customer in Malaysia? Hypothesis number two, we want to see that either the hedonic value and e-warm for Shopee customer in Malaysia. Hypothesis number three is we want to see a positive relationship between hedonic value and advertising for Shopee customer in Malaysia. Hypothesis number four, we want to see the positive relationship between hedonic value and service quality for Shopee customer in Malaysia. Hypothesis number five is we want to see that hedonic value and system quality for Shopee customer in Malaysia. And hypothesis number six is we want to see that, is that got positive relationship between hedonic value and information quality for Shopee customer in Malaysia, like what you can see in our research model. So let's go to the research methodology. So our population is, we focus on the Shopee user from Malaysia age 16 and above, and no limitation for the age number. Okay, for our sample, we got 333 Shopee user from all over Malaysia. So our sampling technique, we use a convenient sampling. So our instrument is, for the questionnaire, we focus for one part of demographic question and 6 part of 5 Likert scale question and a few open-ended question. So I pass to my partner.
All right, thank you very much. So basically on the demographic aspect, the majority is actually female, with 66% and 34% male. As for the age group, the majority of the age group is, hold on for a while. Okay, the majority is between 16 to,
Oh, sorry.
all right, sorry for that. Echoing, it's echoing. This is your laptop.
Oh, sorry.
Ibin, you mute, Ibin.
All right, sorry guys. All right, 63% is between 16 to 20 years, and the rest is 21 to 25 with 18.3%, and 41 and above is around 8.4%. As for the state, all right, we can see that the majority, 115 respondents, is from Perak, and the rest is from Selangor, Kelantan, Pahang, and the rest. For the race, we can see that majority, 89%, is Malay, and the rest are Chinese, Indian, and others. Right, next. We will take a look at the reliability analysis. All right. For the variable to be considered reliable, they should score 0.7 and above. So we can see here, both the dependent variable and independent variables are reliable as they all scored 0.7 and above. Next, please. For the Pearson correlation, all the p-value indicates that all the variables are significant. Okay. And then the strength of the relationship. Okay, I haven't finished yet. Right, the strength of the relationship between hedonic value and all the independent variables are moderate. Right, so all the variables are significant and the strength of all the variables are moderate. Right. So let's move on to the multiple regression. All right, so for the hypothesis to be accepted, the t-value should be more than 2 and the accepted significant level is more than 0.05. Right, the R square is 0.519. In other words, 41.9% of the variation on hedonic value can be explained by system quality, income, advertising, electronic word of mouth, gender, and service quality. The rest of 58.1% is unexplained and may be influenced by other factors. All right, next. So, the research question number 1 and number 2. Do marketing and technical content influence hedonic value for Shopee customers in Malaysia? So we can see the hypothesis 1 is rejected. Therefore, there is no positive relationship between design of the apps and hedonic value. Okay, for hypothesis number 2 is accepted. All right, so basically there is a positive relationship between eWarm and hedonic value. Hypothesis number 3 is accepted. There is a relationship between advertising and hedonic value. The hypothesis number 4, service quality is accepted and there is a relationship with hedonic value. Hypothesis number 5 is accepted, so there is a positive relationship between system quality and hedonic value. And lastly, hypothesis number 6 is rejected, so there is no relationship between information quality and hedonic value. All right, next. For the research objective number 3, the recommendation. So based on the recommendation by the respondent, we can see that 75.1%, they wanted Shopee platform to offer more discounts and promotion, right? And then second suggestion is give more redeemable rewards. Third one is protect customers' data and privacy, give good customer service with prolonged warranty, and so on. All right. The objective discussion. Right. For objective 1, so we want to determine whether or not marketing content influence the hedonic value. So based on hypothesis 2 and 3 that was accepted, yes, it was found that marketing content has a positive significant relationship. For objective number 2, the technical content, it was found based on hypothesis 4 and 5, yes, there is a positive significant relationship between hedonic value and marketing content. And objective number 3 is recommendation. So Shopee can enhance the security, protect customer, and improve customers' database. Next is, in order to understand the, as a conclusion, we can see that Shopee, as well as other e-commerce platform in Malaysia, can try to influence on the, try to improve on the marketing content and technical content. For example, they can also improve their advertising content. They can also encourage more positive online review for e-worm, and also for the technical content, local e-commerce providers might improvise their system quality and service quality levels so that customer will enjoy and find pleasure during their online shopping experience. Okay, our recommendation for the future research, we would like to explore the effect of word of mouth for online shoppers. And then we also would like to see more the increasing trends of scammer shops, okay, because there are more and more scammers on online platforms such as Shopee. And how effective is Shopee Express? Because we have seen so many problems with Shopee Express. And then the emerging trend of TikTok Shop. Okay, TikTok Shop can be a very serious threat to Shopee and other online platforms. And also how shoppable posts and vlog review can influence future online shopping. Right, so that's all from us. Thank you very much.
My name is Prawnapha. Today I would like to present in the topic of correlation between the scalability index of smooth and rough rock factors. It is my outline of presentation. The main topics are as follows here. Starting from introduction. Next is research objectives, rock samples, test apparatus and method, test results, and the last, discussions and conclusions. Let's begin with introduction. Rock ablation is important in excavation processes. Scalability test has been widely used to assess rock abrasivity because it is simple and low cost. Scalability index, well known as CAI, can be correlated with the wear-out tool used in mining, drilling, and tunneling. CAI values depend on many factors, such as surface conditions, pin hardness, pin speed, and the properties of rock. In this study, effect of surface conditions is focused on roughness as affected on CAI. Effect of surface conditions is very important to obtain results that are closer to the on-site area. So research objectives of these studies are: investigate correlation between CAI values obtained from smooth and rough surfaces, and determine relation between CAI and uniaxial compressive strength and mineral compositions of rocks. For rock samples, 19 types of rock specimens commonly found in north and northeast of Thailand are prepared to obtain smooth and rough surfaces. They are classified into 5 groups: clastic, plutonic, carbonate, sulfate, and chloride, and volcanic groups. For rough surfaces are produced by tension-inducing method using line loading, and smooth surfaces are prepared by saw cutting. Test apparatus and method. Zircon testing is performed on smooth and rough factors of rock specimens under dry and unconfined conditions used in device based on waste apparatus. Test procedure follows ISRM suggested method for determining abrasivity of rock by Zircon abrasivity test. CAI values of smooth and rough surfaces can be calculated that follows: CAIR or CAIS equals D, while CAIR equals CAI of smooth, CAIR equals CAI of rough surface, and CAIS equals CAI of smooth surface, and D equals diameter of sketch fact area of stylistic. For equivalent quartz content or EQC, representing rock hardness can be calculated by two rule equations as follows: EQC equals summations I equals 1 to n of Wi multiply Ri, where Ri equals exponential of Hm minus 2.12 divided by 1.05. And test results. This is the effect of stylative before and after CCAR testing. Form after CCAR as for it, shown in figure. CAI equals D equals 0.513 millimeter. CCAR and uniaxial compressive strength of all tested rock as shown in this table. This is my results. I test on rock specimen 19 types. This graph shows correlation between CAIR and CAIS. It depends that CAI values of smooth surface is lower than that of rough surface. The linear relationship between CAI of smooth and rough surfaces were obtained that follows. CAIR equals 1.249 CAIS and R square equals 0.971. This table gives calculated mean midfit for proposed multiply factor between CAIR and CAIS. Explain that this study given the mean midfit of 0.054. The higher midfit values are obtained by Year and Duru, Edin et al., Aueman and Waller, Edin, and Pinniger et al. Correlation between CCAR indexes and rock strength. Graph A show correlation between CAIR and rock strength, and B show correlation between CAIS and rock strength. Explain that CAI both smooth and rough fractures increase when increasing rock strength. X-ray diffraction or XRD results as shown in this table, and mineral compositions will be determined EQC. This table shows CCAR and EQC of all tested rock. Correlation between abrasivity indexes and mineral compositions. Graph A shows correlation between CAIR and EQC, and B shows correlation between CAIS and EQC. Explain that correlation coefficients are 0.172 for rough surface and 0.219 for smooth surface. So, poor correlations are obtained. Results from this study can be concluded as follows. The first, rocks in north and northeast of Thailand show correlation, linear correlation between CAIR and CAIS, where CAIR equals 1.249 CAIS. Difference between multiplied factors obtained here and those obtained elsewhere may be due to other couple factors not included from this study. Both CAIS and CAIR linearly increase with uniaxial compressive strength of rock, where CAIS gives slightly better correlation than CAIR does. And the last one, poor correlation is obtained between both CAIR and CAIS and values equivalent quartz content or EQC. That's all of my presentation. Thank you.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will present our research about comparison of the antibacterial activities of ethanol extract and depossum preparation of red petal vine leaf or Pipercocratum against Pseudomonas aeruginosa. I'm Farida Yudiantina Rahmawati, and my members Bambang Hernawan Nugroho, Novia Ananda, and we from Universitas Islam Indonesia. Okay. Now let's start with introduction. This research is motivation by the fact that Pseudomonas aeruginosa is often a serious problem in hospital-acquired infection. Many of these bacteria are resistant to existing antibiotic. Herbal medicine is a therapy that needs to be considered red betel vine or Viper crocatum is a herbal medicine that has antibacterial activity. Quercetin in red betel is thought to have antibacterial activity. Quercetin has a polar nature, make it difficult to penetrate tissue, so it's required a delivery system. One of the delivery system is liposome. Liposome are colloid particles consisting of two phases, namely the lipid phase and the water phase. Liposome work to exit their course by means of extravasation into the interstitial space of the bloodstream. Liposome also have good stability. The purpose in this research, what is the comparison of the antibacterial activity of the ethanol extract of red betel vine and its liposome dosage from against Pseudomonas aeruginosa? That is the material, for example, red betel vine leaf, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, ethanol, etc. The research design, the laboratory experiment, red betel vine leaf was extracted using the maceration method, and liposome red betel vine leaf liposome were prepared using the thin layer hydration method. The first process in making red betel vine extract liposome was mixing phospholipid 90G, beeswax, ethanol, chloroform 7:3, 96% ethanol into a rotary evaporator on bottom press. The second, afterward, solvent were mixed and separated using a rotary evaporator with a speed of 60 until 100 rpm, a vacuum of 500 until 250 millimeter of mercury, and water temperature of 50 until 60 degrees Celsius. After the solvent techniques like caramel, ethanol was added and put in porcelain cup. Furthermore, the porcelain cup is heated in water bath. After the ethanol has evaporated, PBS is added. And red betel vine extract, the mixture is stirred with ultrasonic until a cream preparation is formed. The cream that has been formed in then added between 80 and propylene glycol. That is liposome formula. The material, there are red betel vine extract, phosphate buffer saline, chloroform, methanol, twin 80, propylene glycol, phospholipid 90G, beeswax, ethanol. Okay. And stability testing was carried out from 1 month with the preparation placed at 40 degrees Celsius were observed every 3 days by looking at particle size, potential zeta, and polydispersion index. And antibacterial testing was carried out using the liquid dilution method. We know minimal inhibitory concentration and minimal bactericidal concentration. That is the stability result, and from 0 day until 30 day, no different significant. And result of the antibacterial activity test of red betel vine leaf extract and liposome preparation. From the table, we know until 0.56% in concentration extract, no growing bacteria, and the concentration liposome until 0.0156% growing bacteria. And the result of control test, media-based antibiotic and basic and bacteria, no growing bacteria, and bacteria control, there are growing bacteria. The discussion, the minimal bactericidal concentration of the liposome preparation of red betel vine leaf extract with red betel vine leaf extract obtained of 0.0156% and 1056%. This comparison shows that the concentration required for liposome of red betel vine leaf extract to kill bacteria is lower than the concentration of red betel vine leaf extract. The conclusion, based on the stability data, it is known that liposome preparation of red betel vine leaf extract are stable. The concentration of liposome is 100 times smaller. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, ma'am.
First of all, I'm Iman Bakal from Morocco. My topic is about digital supply chain trend, a systematic literature review. So my plan will be as presented. First of all, introduction. We'll present the method used in the review, results of my review, discussion, and we'll end with the conclusion. So as an introduction, a digital twin is a digital representation of intended or actual real-world physical product, system, or process. A physical twin that serves as the effectively indistinguishable digital counterpart of it for practical purposes. So supply chain digital twin is detailed enough to analyze the supply chain interaction from macro change in demand down to inside the four walls of facilities. So it should enable function such as prediction of financial and demand variability identification and scenario testing. So the method used in my review is a method of catchment. We start with the pose with the research question. So I focused on previous studies on the adoption of digital technology in the supply chain, and this step is the most important step in the review. So we reformulate a research question respecting the review methodology. I have 4 questions, which are how much research activity has there been since 2030 related to supply chain digital twin? Question 2 is what research area has been addressed in supply chain training? Then who is leading the research of supply chain supply digital twin chain? And for question, it's what are the main technology and tools used in the digital twin supply chain? So before answering this question, the process of research will be as presented. So we defined the choice of article. So we based on article on keywords, such as digital twin and supply chain. After that, we remove document with based on language. And after that, we have a total of a number of article review to review. It's 41. The criteria used in my process of review define the characteristic that perspective subjects must have if they are be included in a study. So the inclusion criteria are recent work related to the topic published between June 1st, 2030 and September 2022. It's also study addressing the application of the specific tools used in digital supply chain management work related in the topic, and systematic literature review, article with the literature review, and case studies. We exclude all studies that are not specifically related to supply chain and digital twin. We exclude also duplicate reports on the same work, and we exclude also study not writing in English. And to judge our data, we set a quality assessment as a question. So the quality assessment is the data collection and analysis through which the degree of conformity to per determinate standard and criteria are explained. In the quality, the process is found to be necessary attempts and are made to discover the reason for this. So first of all, are the aims and objectives of the work are clearly reported. So the notation will be as 0 if the aims is not respected or not reported, 0.5 partially, and 1 if the objective of the work is respected. The quality assessment tool is the study focus or main focus on application of the digital in supply chain. So we have 2 points also, 0, 0.5, and 1. We have how much evidence support the results of the study. And finally, is there a clear statement on the application of the digital twin in supply chain that study focus? So we answered the 4 questions for each article of the 41 article to review. As a result, the table showing in this screen show the results of the our search procedure. Although we identify 41, as I said, the article by this research process, the time span is between 2089 and 2022. Search of my review is about journal, books, etc. is about 35 documents, and my data is about 43 references. The keyword also in the data, it's about 2089. After analyze and give an answer to a quality assessment, the step discussion will be for discussing the answer of our primary research question. As I said before, the first question was how much research activity has been since 2018, since 80-30. We identify 41 relevant studies in the source that we searched. We observed that we have augmentation of publication from 2018, and annual growth rates, it's about 1.17. The trend show the number of paper has been augmented between 1890 and 2022. A noticeable positive trend has emerged. Only 3 articles in 1890, as shown in the graph, which is due to the specification of the two concepts, namely supply chain and digital twin. The number of paper is stable. We can accept the number of article will rise in 2023. The second question was what research area been addressed. With respect to the topic of the article, the top subject area covered by researchers in field are shown in the graph. Are computer science, followed by engineering and business management and accounting. The question focused on the key research trend related to the concepts of applied digital twin in the supply chain. Contemporary research on applied digital twin in different domains shows that the digital twin is addressed to engineering domains. Concerning the question number 2, who lead the research of supply chain? As shown in the figure, the studies are dominated by Germany. Researchers who have been involved in the figure 2 of the study conclude. The top researchers who contributed to the research based on the figure documents by authors, by Ivanov, and the last question is the technology enable digital twin. To answer this question, we supported the terms related to the subjects and used this to describe the work performance. We have summarized the most relevant word about digital twin as a supply chain, a digital twin, Internet of objects, cyber physical system, machine learning, and cloud captain. We found that the most frequently used terms are related to supply chain, digital twin, decision making, manufacturing, are also among the relevant words in the studies that gives idea about technologies and tools used in digital supply chain twin. So about Internet of Things. Internet of Things refer to any objects that are interconnected to a network, often equipped with the intelligent gadgets. By integrating several objects for interaction via embedded system, a large distribution network of communicative devices is created, facilitating human devices and devices communication. Concerning the cyber physical system, is broadly defined as a system which integrates the physical and digital world through sensors. The system can communicate condition of the physical world to the digital world and vice versa, also allowing the correspondence asset to adapt and improve the efficiency. This creates a loop of information flowing through the system without any human intervention. Concerning machine learning, structures could provide a digital twin with the ability of analyzing and making decisions based on real-time data. Based on data, as I said, the digital could also be able to make optimization and prediction about possible future outcomes. Cloud captain is a model for enabling shared network access to content research. Used cloud captain, the user is able to access a pool of research resources that are owned and maintained by third party via internet. The contribution of additional paper to debate on digital twin supply chain. The possible future of digital twin supply are taken from exploratory and industrial cases, built of the upcoming technology provided by current industrial technology and industrial digitalization. So in conclusion, the objective of my study was described the distinct characteristic and scopes of digital supply chain twin and supply chain management literature. Drive the evolution of the digital supply chain management, and give a sentence of digital supply chain technology in supply chain management. As perspective, I note for next work will answer the question how this technology can be integrated with the digital supply chain twin, and also identify digital supply chain twin application area, provide the broad categorization of application in system supply chain management, putting the different application area in perspective with each other, which emphasize the holistic approach in in supply chain management, and also review in as much detail as possible and benchmark are the challenge of my next work. I thank you for attention.
Thank you, Iman, for your wonderful presentation.
First of all, excuse me. First of all, I would like to thank you for your presence today, and I wish this Congress all the success possible. I'm going to present my paper entitled Application of Artificial Intelligence in Warehouse Picking Optimization, a systematic literature review. It will be presented by me, Ayub Sultanan, and from Laboratory of Advanced Research in Industrial and Logistic Engineering with Odil Chaim, NCM Hassan II University of Casablanca, with Raja bin Abu, Selma Matasim, and Jamal Binhar. We will follow the following plan. We start with an introduction, and then we will see what is a SLR, the systematic literature review. Then we will present the method followed and the result found, before ending with a discussion and a conclusion. So order picking is a key task in almost all supply chain and has a significant effect on operational efficiency of warehouse. Although most companies still rely on manual order picking, research on diverse possibilities to automate order picking tasks or support human order pickers with technology is increasing rapidly. The aim of this study is to analyze the previous research on the warehouse order picking process. The analysis is carried out with respect to different perspectives, such as the area of application, type of application, artificial intelligence method applied. What is the SLR systematic literature review? A systematic literature review identifies, selects, and critically appraise research in order to answer a clearly formulated question. The systematic literature review should follow a clearly defined protocol or a plan where the criteria is clearly stated before the review is conducted. It's a comprehensive, transparent search conducted over multiple databases and gray literature that can be reapplied and reproduced by other researchers. It involves planning a well-thought-out search strategy which has a specific focus on answer a defined question. The review identifies the type of information searched, created, and reported with known time frame. The search term search strategy included database name, platform, date of search, and limit, and all need to be included in the review. Now let's move to the method. In this study has been undertaken as a systematic literature review based on the original guideline as proposed by Kitchener. The step in the systematic literature review method are a research question, search process, quality assessments, data collection, and data analysis. We will start with the first type is the research objectives and the research question. The first question is how much research activity related to the warehouse optimization has there been since 2010? Second question, what warehouse optimization research topics are being addressed? Third question, which are the most common techniques used in warehouse picking optimization? And the final question is, what are the limitations of current research? The research process we will start with the second step. The research process consists of automatically research well-known database to collect the relevant papers. Elsevier ScienceDirect was chosen as the primary source for the automated search. Two levels of keywords were used conjunctively combined with the and. The first level defined the search context and include the term warehouse picking process. The second level include the following description of terms related to artificial intelligence technique, such as artificial intelligence or machine learning, genetic algorithm, artificial neural network, or meta-heuristic. The analysis was limited to a recent article that has been published between 2010 and 2022. Next step is the quality assessment in order to determine if the selected paper are of adequate standard and could be included. Inspired by Kitchener used the following question. The first question, are the aims and objectives of the work clearly reported? If yes, the score is 1. If no, the score is 0. And if partially, the score is 0.5. The second question is the study's focus or main focus on application of artificial intelligence in warehouse picking process. If yes, it's the same thing. If yes, 1. If no, 0. And if partially, it's 0.5. The third question, the score here, the score varies between 0 and 1. It depends on the evidence. The evidence it's maybe obtained from expert opinions or academic study, industrial study, use case study, or if the evidence obtained from industrial practice. Now, to the next step is quality assessment. Is the last question. Is there a clear statement of application of artificial intelligence that study focus? Now, it's binary. If yes, it's 1. If no, it's 0. Data collection after conducting the quality assessment, only paper which score high and demand relevant of research question were collected. The data extracted from each paper were the source, if conference or journal, type of papers, authors, the institutions and countries, summary, research question, quality score, years, title, keywords, focus on the research, and artificial intelligence method employed. Next step is the data analysis. The data analysis were performed showcase the following information: the number of papers published per year and their source, the subject area addressed, the affiliation of the author and their institution, the quality score, and the artificial intelligence method employed. Now let's move to the results. As we said before, we have used the direct Science Direct. The picture in front of you shows the filter applied for the research. The second table shows the list of primary. Of course, there are 64 for research. I take only a picture that's the 7 first studies. And here, this is the quality assessment based on what we said before. The quality assessment 1, question 1, question 2, 3, and 4, and here we do a total average. Now let's move to the discussion, where in this section we discuss the answers to our research question. The first question: how much research activity has been since 2010? We identified 63 relevant studies in the source that we searched. Our finding reported an increase of 250% in the number of publication of works related to the subject of artificial intelligence application in the warehouse picking process from 2010 to 2022. Illustrated. Left figure illustrates the frequency of specific source from which a relevant article has been retrieved. As we say, European Journal of Operation Shares, International Journal of Production Economics, Computer and Operation Research are the most relevant sources. With respect to the topic of the article, the top subject area covered by research to be decision science, followed by engineering and computer science. Now let's move to the next question. What are the limitations of current research? From the analysis we conducted in the previous section, to answer to the research question stated at the beginning of this SLR, systematic literature review, we have pinpointed some differences regarding the application of artificial intelligence technology in picking process optimization. While the majority of studies highlight the potential of number of artificial intelligence techniques in picking process optimization, only a few techniques has actually been addressed, with heuristic, meta-heuristic, and genetic algorithm and colony optimization algorithm simulated and linear being the most research technique. As to meta-heuristic, the 3 most popular algorithms are genetic algorithms and ant colony optimization, which account for 28% and 19% of the sampled paper applying of meta-heuristic respectively. The lack of innovative research on other interesting techniques like a neural network deep learning is considered a deficiency that other research could explore. As for the use of heuristic and meta-heuristic models, it remained mainly focused on standard warehouse. The potential of methods like a neural network could be further explored to cover other areas. In the conclusion, the primary aims of this review was to capture the potential and scope of artificial intelligence application in warehouse picking optimization. In this view, we adopted a systematic approach combined with a bibliometric analysis to review the relevant article published between 2010 and 2021, even with the increased research being conducted on the application of artificial intelligence in warehouse picking problem. This field has not fully exploited the benefits of this prominent technology. While we found that researchers who are working on the warehouse picking optimization are become more interested in the application of artificial technique. The spread of techniques covered by current research is fairly limited. Only few artificial intelligence techniques were addressed: heuristic and meta-heuristic genetic algorithm, which mean that numerous opportunities are available in this area for further research. And thank you.
Thank you, Ayo, for your wonderful presentation. Please share your email address in the chat box. We will get in touch.
My research paper is application of meditative strategy using mobile app intervention to improve memory retention among university students. So basically, this research study was conducted to determine what was the impact of an adapted meditative strategy and relaxation technique using a mobile meditation app. I used Count Prayer for this to control the stress and anxiety of university students. And eventually, after reducing the stress level, we had to identify whether there were any change in the visual memory retention ability. And the aim of the study was to identify whether students identified with stress or anxiety perform contemplative practices followed by some relaxation techniques, whether their visual memory retention can be improved effectively or not. From this table, we can see that there are three different types of meditation. One is a transcendental meditation, and there is a mindfulness meditation and the concentration meditation. We are focusing especially on the transcendental meditation, which basically activates the alpha waves of the brain, and it makes a person relaxed, happy, and focused as compared to concentration meditation and mindfulness meditation, which generates theta waves, and the concentration meditation generates beta waves. And if you see the ECG image of the brain, it has been identified that the results are overwhelmingly positive, and it has detected that changes in the brain waves from the frontal cortex of the brain, that it makes a person more relaxed and happy. What was the problem statement is that college students experience considerable amount of stress, and students feel stressed with workload, new set of responsibilities, financial pressures, time constraints, new relationships, and educational expectations. And whenever there was a transition from the high school to the colleges, it brought about a new set of pressures on them. And there were several other researchers which perceived that unmanaged elevated stress may lead to anxiety. Again, in 2014, it was stated that developing planning, comprehension, reasoning, and problem-solving skills was very much essential. And it was basically essential for improving the cognitive ability of the students. And all that information that can be held in mind were used in execution of cognitive tasks. The purpose of the study is to incorporate TM, that is transcendental meditation, by using a meditative app on iPhone and iPad devices. And then to identify the effect of stress and anxiety on the visual memory retention in relation to an adapted meditation strategy, along with a relaxation technique. I use visualization for this to prove the changes in anxiety and stress level could lead to change in the visual memory retention effectively as a training outcome. And it also validates the central phenomena that the changes in parameters like stress and anxiety, especially on the university students, in relation to an educated, regulated contemplation practice, will improve the visual memory retention.
It also helps in verify and understand the reliability of the theory that states the presence or the absence of meditation training. Intervention on respondents could cause change in the stress level, which in turn could cause change in the visual memory retention among the participants. The analytical research inquiry, there were 3 research inquiries. What was the effect of the 4-week meditation intervention on the levels of stress and anxiety and visual memory retention among university students? To what extent does a relationship exist between stress and anxiety level and the visual memory retention score after following the meditative and relaxation technique using the app? And the third was, how did the mobile app impact anxiety and stress level among university students? There were several assumptions and hypotheses. It was assumed that the application of the app for measuring the extent of meditation practice would lead to change in perceived levels of stress among the university students. And it also had a second assumption, which validation of the newly formed metrics and guidelines for elevating stress and anxiety level would lead to improved visual memory retention among students, irrespective of their level of education. And the hypotheses were on implementing the consumer-based app, it was believed to bring changes in the anxiety and stress level. The second hypothesis was the post-test stress level obtained from the conducted performance test was believed to be significantly better than the pre-test scores. And the third was there could exist a relationship between the stress level and the duration of meditative practice among students, which could be validated through charts in the meditation app. Some of the research significance was there was a lack of proper investigation based on changes in anxiety level through effective meditative practice, which often led to multiple mental ailment. And the app, which was perceived to be a tool that students could use to reduce stress and anxiety level, as it proved handy, measurable, and flexible for students in higher learning. The research inspired to fill the void in the existing literature related to changes in stress level and anxiety level among university students. The findings would become a layover platform for future researchers and practitioners and policymakers. Here is a conceptual framework. There are 2 dependent variables, stress and anxiety. And the intervention technique was applied, and it helped in exploring the impact on the visual memory retention of university students. Though it had some limitations, especially with infrastructure and connectivity issues, and some challenges from multiple stakeholders, and the planned face-to-face training and interventions and interview sessions were replaced with Zoom sessions. And since no study is generalizable, this is a small sample quasi-experimental study, which was not randomized, and another replication of the study is recommended in future to generalize the findings. Some of the delimitations were the research experiment exclusively focused on the students of a particular university. And the research ended up with 16 university students and students who were not comfortable with socialization during the COVID and did not meet the selection criteria like age, interest level, and stress level were omitted. The students who were undergoing psychological counseling or were under medication were excluded. And furthermore, it was a vast and complex and tricky to analyze the present findings of the research using mixed method, as it involved triangulation and involving multiple sources using different data. There were several historic and legislative background. We did a lot of extensive background verification and research. And meditation was categorized as 2 types. One is CM and the mindfulness meditation, MM. Concentration meditation was thought to develop attention to quieten the mind, and TM is just a technique of concentration meditation. And this study basically focuses on the ways the positive relationship between working memory and general intelligence is explained, is that people with high working memory capacity may store in memory many elements which contribute to keep in mind sub-results needed within a task. And the test essentially assesses the short-term storage component of the working memory with a strong predictive power. Okay. These are the theoretical framework and the model. I used 3 different kinds of theories: mindfulness to meaning, self-regulation theory, and the emotional intelligence theory. And then the triangulation of the theories were performed. Relevance to the theoretical review. We are defining all the 3 different theories which we had used. And eventually, we found a huge gap in the literature when we did an investigative intensive study of the literature, and the mobile technology was particularly convenient and cost-effective for student populations. So therefore, we implemented mobile technology. And it was a quasi-experimental study with it helped in designing the intervention process followed by interpretation of outcome. And basically, it was helping in estimating the problem that was achieved through statistical measures. And it was basically an exploratory sequential mixed method with single group repeated design. Guided by the goals and research purpose to enhance experimental transformative learning, this was an exploratory sequential mixed methods, and we used 10 minutes of app followed by listening to transcendental meditation and along with visualization practice for the next 5 minutes as a relaxation technique. And then the role of the researcher was defined and discussed, and then the data collection was done. Here are some of the data sources that were used. The quantitative data, we used survey measurements, and for the qualitative data, we used observations, inspections, open-ended questionnaires, in-person Zoom session, basically using we use the tool NVivo for developing preliminary themes and open codes. And then we perform triangulation for cross-analysis involving data collection through fact-finding procedures. These are severally the inclusion criteria for conducting the research, and all the data were retrieved, and once signature was obtained, the participants completed the interviews and the data analysis was performed. First, the DSS was used. A well-validated 21 item was used to measure the stress and anxiety for a period of 4 weeks, and the data was qualitatively analyzed through open-ended survey questions, and then the data was quantitatively analyzed by closed-ended questionnaires and evaluation of pre-post assessment scores. And SPSS was used for validation of statistical analysis, and then we used basically the independent t-tests and ANOVA test for determining the regression and correlation to determine the linkage of visual memory retention. This was the app which we used, and the aim of the research was to make an estimate to elevate stress level of university students. And 16 participants were selected, and out of this, 9 were female, 7 were male. And this is a distribution, basically why they joined the program, basically the demographics of the participants. And then this is how we perform the visual memory test. The independent t-test was used to identify the reliability scores of the stress level, pre-test, training test, and post-training test for the stress level, and paired t-test was used to compare the pre-training and post-training visual memory score within the target group. So we see that the stress level went on decreasing with the duration of meditation, and especially also the anxiety level went on decreasing. So this is the correlation and the Watt charts, which showed how the visual memory retention of university students basically improved. So basically we did a linkage of the different type of themes with the theories and the theories to the main objective. And this is the proposed model to achieve the objective. Here are the patterns and attributes which were derived from the word cloud, how we developed different kinds of themes. And this is the basis for the research findings. So all the hypotheses stood accepted. The post-training stress scores obtained from the conducted test were significantly better than the pre-training test scores, hence hypothesis 2 also stood accepted. And the correlation was detected between change in stress level and duration of meditative practices among the students. Therefore, hypothesis 3 also stood accepted. So basically, in the conclusion, we developed to contribute in the field of transcendental meditation and mindfulness by making information available about the challenges and solutions of significant issues, thus highlighting topics on anxiety and stress level. And the researcher also learned that a common pattern that led to the improved memory was through reduction of stress. Here's a research summary. And several other codes and major themes associated with the research subjects and the research objectives. It was related to stress management, work-life management, classroom management, and also instruction delivery. So more research will be needed in future to determine the effectiveness of this meditation strategy combined with specific relaxation techniques with diverse sample population, and changes in stress level appear to be statistically improve the working memory among the university students to a large extent. A large purpose of this study emerged from one person who is my life coach, Dr. Shiv Shankar Datta, and my spiritual father, Birendranath Chandra Chakrabarti. So this was my research study. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation and nice topic and much needed present. Because seeing in universities, we find these type of issues going on. Really nice research work though.
Yeah,
We'll get in touch maybe sometime.
Sure.
Addressing the students would be great. So we will be in touch
Sure.
with you. Thank
Hello, my name is Tianran Ren, and I'm currently a final year PhD student at Liverpool Dartmoor University. And today, the topic of my presentation is going to be about a cold chain packaging risk management system based on Bayesian network. So the outline, well, first I'll talk about the introduction on all the background information for the study, followed by the methodology, and then results and discussion. Introduction. So basically, there have been an increasing demand of cold chain products during the past few years, especially for food or pharmaceutical products, which all require a low temperature transportation and cold storage. Basically, packaging has a great impact on the overall cold chain performances. And normally there are 3 levels of packaging. We got the primary packaging, which normally refers to the plastic wrappers that we normally see with the cold chain products. And we got the secondary packaging, which normally refers to the parcels. And finally, the tertiary packaging refers to the pallets, which specifically is for shipping solutions. So there is no 100% guarantee of successful cold chain transportation or storage. So that is why we normally would consider the uncertainty and risk management of the cold chains. So basically, the aim of this study is to build a cold chain packaging risk management system. So the methodology for the study, first of all, a literature review was done on the field of cold chain risk or cold chain disruptions. And overall, 30 articles were included for this study, and Bayesian network was selected as the decision-making method for the risk management model. So basically, it is found that the most used terms for cold chain packaging risk management are for risk are basically risk hazards or risk level or vulnerabilities. Depending on the specific concentration of the study, different terms for risk are selected and used. Most of the studies are found to be theoretical studies. Only a few are empirical studies, and food products are the most studied cold chain products. And only one study out of the 30 studies is studies medical products. And for the risk management coverages, it normally has risk identification, assessment, and mitigation, which most of the studies focus on the identification and assessment segments of the risk management. So there are differences between the supply chain risk factors and the cold chain risk factors. For supply chain risk factors, normally we consider the risk from the supply and demand side, and manufacturing, financial information, transportation, etc. And for the risk factors found in the cold chain management, normally we focus on the operational, quality, safety, and fraud aspect of the risk. So basically, all the risk found for the cold chain packaging risk management systems are listed in this table, and they are categorized into external supply chain, logistic, information, quality, packaging and processing categories, and all the sub-risk factors of each risk factors are also listed in this table. So basically, we're trying to focusing on the cold chain packaging. We're trying to find the risk factors of the packaging itself. So we further categorize all the risk factors into external supply chain, logistical information, and shipping solution selection risks. So these are the risk categories specifically for the packaging, and all the detailed sub-risk factors of each category are all listed in this table showing on the screen. So basically, with all the risk factors and risk categories we found from the literature review, so we further build it into a risk management model using the Bayesian network decision-making techniques. So as we can see, there are 5 categories of risks on this model, and they all have the potential of causing cold chain packaging failure, which they has 2 states, which is the packaging fails or the packaging does not fail. So that's what's the model. And then basically to conclude, it basically reviews the literature on cold chain risk management or cold chain disruptions, and study the role of packaging in the overall cold chain, and identify the risk factors related to packaging that may cause potential packaging failure. And the decision-making tool used for the model is the Bayesian network, and the risk factors are categorized into 5 different related risk categories, and external supply chain logistic information risks are similar to the risk factors causing cold chain disruptions, while the selection of shipping solutions are the unique risk factors if you're looking at the packaging aside from the overall cold chain management. And also it is also found that in appropriate phase change material selection, capacity and quantity services or other accessories regarding the packaging itself can lead to cold chain packaging failures. Some limitations of this study is it may require some further empirical studies and some further validation from experts from academia and industry. So, and that is all I have for the presentation. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your wonderful.
Hello, everybody. Today I will present my research. The title of Prediction of Antiviral Treatment Response of Hepatitis B Egyptian Patient Using Machine Learning. In the first, I will talk about the outline. We will talk about introduction, problem definition, related work, research objective, dataset and the method, experiments and results, discussion, and finally conclusion. The first is introduction. One of the most common liver diseases is hepatitis, which is the inflammation of the liver, usually caused by a virus, as hepatitis B virus and hepatitis C virus, which can lead to hepatic fibrosis, cirrhosis, and in some cases to liver cancer and death. It's important to start appropriate treatment plan to achieve the desired result. The aim of chronic hepatitis treatment are to reduce the liver inflammation by suppressing hepatitis virus replication. The treatment of chronic hepatitis B and C may contain 3 types. The first is antiviral medication. The second is interferon injection. The third is liver transplant in case liver has been severely damaged. Then we talk about the problem. Knowing the patient response to treatment is a very important issue. Therefore, it's necessary to predict the treatment response to know the effect of drugs. Recently, many machine learning techniques were applied for treatment response prediction. Then we talk about the related work. As we show in this table, many researchers are working in the same topic with many of classifier, and they achieve many of results as shown in this table. The research objective is to construct an efficient prediction model using machine learning techniques to predict the response of antiviral medicine treatment in chronic HPV Egyptian patients using clinical laboratory parameter and fibrosis stage and drug receipt. In this research, we using dataset collected from HPV clinic at National Liver Institute, Munufaya University in Egypt. It contained of 66 patients who had chronic HPV and were treated with antiviral medication. The patients were followed up for a year after drug treatment and classified into patient response to treatment and other didn't according to the HPV DNA level, which called PCR. The set include 9 parameters. 7 of them are clinical laboratory parameters as age, sex, ALT, AST, TLC, PLT, and quantitative level of HPV DNA, and the degree of fibrosis and the antiviral drugs. In the first, we doing some of pre-processing steps in the test. The first is dealing with the missing data. There were some missing data in some parameters. We deal with it by using SPSS software. And the second step is dealing with the imbalanced data because the ratio between the two classes is relatively large. To handle this issue, 2 oversampling techniques were used. The first is called SMOTE, and the second is ADASYN. Then we apply one of attribute selection method, which called information gain attribute evaluation, to choose the best parameter which correlation with each class. Then we apply machine learning techniques. In this thesis, we are applied 4 machine learning techniques. There are decision tree, random forest, and K nearest neighbor, and gradient pattern. Then we will talk about the experiment and result. The dataset was divided into 2 classes. The first class was for patients who respond to treatment, R class, which consists of 53 patients. And the second class was for patients who didn't respond to treatment, which is called non-R class. It consists of 13 patients. And also the dataset has been split to training data, 80% of data, and testing data, which contain 20% of data. Then we apply different classification model to and evaluate it with Python and ASCII layer. And we are using a weaker version to apply the attribute selection method. To evaluate and compare the classification models, we use many of matrices as accuracy and sensitivity and precision. The first classification model are used is decision tree classification model. We are built for decision tree classification model with all 9 features, and using 2 criteria for splitting the tree. The first is Gini index, and the second is entropy. Then we testing this for model by using testing data. The results are shown in table 1. As we show in the table 1, the best classifier is the first and the third, with achieved accuracy of 85.7%. Then we use the parameter which have the best correlation with each class. There are 3 only parameters: drug received and fibrosis stage and 6. Then we are reconstructed with only the 3 features and then testing this model again with using the test data set. And the results are shown in table 2. As we show in table 2, the accuracy become 71.4% on. The second classification model are random forest model. We are build multiply RF classifier model with also using all feature 9 feature with changing the hyper parameter of 3 number from 10 to 100 that were constructed during each model was built and using 2 oversampling technique. The model were evaluated using the test dataset to measure their performance. The accuracy of the best model in each case with SMOTE and ADASYN is shown in table 3. The accuracy is 85.7%. And when we use the attribution selection method, only 3 parameters achieve the best correlation with class, and the results are shown in the table number 4. The accuracy achieved is 78.6% only. The third classification model is KNN. We are built 6 KNN classifier model with all feature, 9 feature, using also the 2 oversampling technique with the 3 different K value 1 and 3 and 5 that indicates the count of nearest neighbor. The model will evaluated using the test dataset to measure their performance. The accuracy of all models are shown in table 5. As we show in this table, all unless one only achieved 92.9% of accuracy. Then the result of model based on only 3 features will lower than the result of model based on all 9, as we shown in table 6. There are poor accuracy when you use only 3 features or 3 parameters. The fourth model is gradient posting classification model. We are built 10 GP classifier model. We're constructed using all feature, 9 feature, and using the 2 oversampling technique with 7 different learning rates: 0.1, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1. The learning rate is simply mean how fast the model learned is one of critical hyperparameters for gradient posting decision tree. The model were evaluated using the test dataset to measure their performance. The accuracy of all models are shown in table 7, as we show in this table. The best one is the first one, which is gradient posting with SMOTE plus learner rate 0.1, which achieves accuracy of 85.7%, and the 9 model, which is GB with ADASYN plus learner rate 0.75, which achieves the same accuracy. Then we built the classifier model with only 3 features. The result as shown is in table 8. It's a poor accuracy. Then we talk about the discussion of this research. In this study, different supervised machine learning methods were experimented on chronic HPV infected Egyptians to predict the response of treatment on patients and whether there has been progress or regression of the disease. because the dataset of two classes was implemented, two oversampling methods were used, SMOTE and ADASYN. Four machine learning methods were used to build classification model, decision tree, random forest, K, nearest neighbor, and gradient posting. 9 parameters were used: age, sex, ASE, ALT, HPV, DNA, TLC, PLT, and fibrosis stage, and the last is drug received. An attribute selection method held information gain attribute evaluation were implemented trying to improve our model. By comparing the results of all classification models, it was observed that KNA classifier has the best performance as shown in the table 9 and the figure 1. As we show in this table, KNN model is the best one with achieved accuracy of 92.9%, and also as in this figure. The last is conclusion. Hepatitis B virus is one of the reasons that cause the fibrosis of liver. The hepatic fibrosis are graded from mild fibrosis to advanced fibrosis and cirrhosis, and sometimes lead to liver cancer. So controlling this disease and taking appropriate treatment is very important to avoid this happening. There are many methods of treatment that depend on the liver states and the stage of fibrosis. The prediction of treatment response by antiviral medicines is better to know if the patient will go in the true direction or treatment or no, and change the treatment. In this study, based on 7 clinical parameters plus fibrosis stage and drug receipt of 66 chronic HPV Egyptian patients with hepatitis B virus, many of machine learning based classification models were constructed for the prediction of treatment response or non-response to treatment. The best model is KNA classification model, then decision tree and random forest and gradient posting, and the best classifier model achieved accuracy of 92.9 on prediction of treatment response. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, Islam.